The first stop was at Gordon Food Service in Grand Rapids area. We went to the distribution center and had a wonderful tour of the facility. They walked us through the whole distribution center. Gordon Food Service was one of the first distribution centers in the state of Michigan to become fully automated. And so they have robots that actually pull the packages off the shelves and put them on the conveyor belts, and it's all operated through a computer system.
The lady talked about how she's an event coordinator for Gordon Food Services, and it made me think about like the program that I was in and the fact that that might not be something I want to do. So I actually changed my program because what she talked about sounded like something that I would be more interested in doing with my life.
Being a pre-med major, I didn't think anything about food distribution would be interesting. But to hear that they distribute to so many companies like Ferris State and also to Spectrum Health, which we visited later, that was really interesting because they have to pass certain regulations, which I mean is understandable for the food business, but to know that they have high enough standards to meet like hospital cafeteria standards, I think that was amazing.
Beautiful building. They have a test kitchen. They treated us like royalty, brought us into their executive boardroom where we had lunch and were able to ask them questions regarding different career opportunities within Gordon Food Service. And I think that students were very amazed to hear of all of the different types of academic programs that line up with the opportunities that they have within the Gordon Food Service system between their retail outlets and their distribution centers and their corporate office.
I learned the importance of valuing your workers from Gordon Food Service because it looked like the workers that we spoke to actually really enjoyed their job, because the one person, his name was Bob, he had been working there for 30 some years doing the same job, and he said that he enjoyed going to work every day.
They put effort into helping their employees grow and move to different positions, how much care they put into it. It was really interesting finding out that it's a family business, which made a lot more sense as to the reason is why they try to help their employees move up through the business.
From Gordon Food Service, we went on to DeVos Children's Hospital, which is part of the Medical Mile in Grand Rapids. They talked to several students about different opportunities with marketing, public relations, communications, as well as the healthcare fields.
The tour guide was a communications person. She worked with community relations and actually was the event manager for a 5K race that raised money to help support things in the hospital. And I found that to be an awesome job because she was able to use her passions to give back. And I kind of want to do that myself.
Their main goal was to have the whole environment be an area where it's playful and the kids can interact with it, and it's like stimulating. And I just thought that was really beautiful thing and really interesting because it's not focused on like what mainly other hospitals focused on. They're not mainly just thinking about you being healthy. They're thinking about a child's mental health as well, and making sure that they're not afraid of it.
So I loved going to the hospital and seeing all the things that they do to make the children's experience less like a medical visit and more like just play, enjoying the experience.
They kind of prep a child for going into a surgery or something else drastic, and they show the kid what it looks like and explain the situation, the process of it with like a doll or something, and they just kind of make it easier for the child to process everything, and I thought that was really beautiful.
What I liked most about the trip was Helen DeVos, only because my major is pre-med, So going there and seeing the facility and how they like interact with kids many different ways, I thought that was very fascinating. And I guess like learning that there's a lot of like internships there, and even if you don't make it, keep trying. Like they were really like adamant about that, to keep like trying your hardest and keep applying like more than once.
Lately, I've been trying to figure out what kind of doctor I'd like to be in the future. And it's been actually stressing me out a lot. But going there and talking with their staff and seeing that I have plenty of options ahead of me and time, it really motivated me to continue on searching through the medical field for what I want to be.
From DeVos Children's Hospital, we traveled down to the Detroit area, to the Detroit Symphony Orchestra Hall, where we were able to attend an event of a world-renowned cellist who was accompanied by a professional pianist. Provided a cultural experience that was new for many of them. It just kind of opened their perspective a little bit to some of the other arts and cultures and creative venues.
After the intermission, he explained the next song that he was going to do, and he told a story about the patterns of the song and explained that like when he made this, it was about a dying father and the fact that he, in like Jewish culture, he would have to sing this song at the end to like help his father, I guess, pass away. And they were saying that when the celloist pulled or made this one note, it meant that the father had passed away, and that the dialogue between the sound of the music of the pianist and the celloist would go back and forth, and that would represent the family arguing. And after he said that and just told us the whole story kind of and played it out before he playing the music.
The orchestra was really great. I think it was a part of Detroit that a lot of people don't really get to see. We kind of all got dressed up and really fancy and got to go do something that I think a lot of us didn't or normally wouldn't have the chance to go see. We got to mingle with the artists afterward, so that was pretty cool. We get to chat and mingle and I guess converse about the pieces that they performed.
It just got me so into the music and like anticipating the music, and then when he started playing, I've never paid more attention to somebody playing music and watching out for those moments that he would like play the sound of the that signified the death of the father, and it just connected me to music or instrumental music in such a deeper way that it was really like dumbfounding, I kind of want to say, and it was amazing. And I just wish that every musician would do that because it was so much more interesting.
And then the next day we went to the Detroit Institute of Art. Being able to go through there was wonderful.
I had actually never been to the DIA, which is weird because I live like not even a half hour away from it, but I could have spent like a week in there, honestly, but I got to see some Van Gogh and some Picasso, and I had to just stand back and stare at the Van Gogh for a solid 5 minutes, and I was just so enchanted by the fact that it was like right there and it was something that he made.
I like art museums, and I liked that they had interesting current exhibits. They had a Detroit exhibit that was 365 Days of Weather, which I didn't stay around for the entire thing, but I just thought it was really neat that they included something that was really focused on the city. They had some larger artists than I guess I would have realized. I knew it was a big museum, but I'd never been there previously. I wish we had a little bit more time to explore freely, but I liked that we had directed questions also and had something to search for.
We visited St. Mary's Cathedral in Greektown, which is the third oldest Catholic cathedral in Detroit area.
The St. Mary's Cathedral. I think the biggest component that really made the experience enjoyable was the fact that I got to see a different perspective of the architecture world. Being an architect major, you really have to get a different, like I said, perspective and background of different areas of architecture. So going into St. Mary's, it was very Renaissance, it was very old Gothic, the stained glass windows. So just the different components of the whole building really made the experience very enjoyable, just to get a different glimpse of a different part of the world, basically. When I first saw it from the outside, I was very amazed just because of the structure. So I knew because of the structure outside, I was very excited to see what it was going to be like in the inside.
I am personally not a religious person, but I thought walking in and experiencing just all of the stained glass and the tall pillars and just the quiet kind of respectful atmosphere. I liked that. It was actually quite moving. It evoked a couple emotions, some strong ones. I did cry, but I think it was a worthwhile experience.
The cathedral was pretty amazing. I'm a sucker for architecture. A good place just to, like our tour guide said, people aren't even religious going there just for the peace and quiet. And so it was just a good experience to see.
It was really beautiful because I have a graphic design background and I really enjoy just studying art in general. I've taken a lot of art history classes in the past, so the fact that I could see legit art in its natural setting was really cool.
We visited some different cultural areas and the Heidelberg Project, which brought some awareness to social concerns in the area.
So I love the Heidelberg Project. It's something I've been to several times before in the past. And every time you meet Mr. Guyton, he's always so full of wisdom. The man's a genius, and you can really just see the passion in what he does. He's one of the main driving forces behind the urban art movement in Detroit. It's one of the main reasons why it survives.
It was a lot different artwork than I've ever seen before, but it was really cool, and it was nice to just roam around the area, look at the artwork, try to form an idea of what it meant to me, what I thought it might mean to the creator of the artwork. And then it was nice to do that, and then to talk to the founder himself and see what all the artwork meant to him.
I feel like every time I talk with Mr. Guyton, my view always changes. It always becomes more and more involved in what urban art means to Detroit. It's a city that was failing for a long time, and then this bright and colorful movement comes, and I think that it really changes it. It really changes how people think.
And it's pretty inspiring. It motivated me to not always strive for perfectionism or what others might expect or what others might want, but that I could just, maybe create something that I'm really passionate about, and others might see that and be passionate themselves, even if it's a little bit different.
Just the fact that you can still create art, no matter with what resources you have or what kind of situation, and you can still create art to evoke meaning, and it still has the same impact as, the Detroit Institute of Art that we went and seen. It was really personal, and I feel like it, again, showed a side of Detroit that a lot of people don't get to see.
I took away that when you are passionate about something, that you can make a difference in the world. The individual who was actually in charge of the Heidelberg Project did not give up on his ideas and his passion. And through his project, he was able to travel the world and make an impact on a lot of different people, which was just very inspiring and wonderful to see. There were certain things where his buildings got burned down, but instead of giving up, he actually would take things from those buildings and put them all over the street. One of the things that was very interesting to me was the clocks, and he talked about how time is important and all is a reflection of what is the here and now. And instead of giving up, he continued to go on and kind of morph his houses that burned down into other things on the street. It's really cool.
After the Detroit Pistons game at the Palace, we went on to Lansing and stayed the night. The next morning in Lansing, we were able to visit Potter Park Zoo, where they gave us a presentation on careers within the zoo system. Talked with us about some different majors that align with some of the things that they do as zookeepers and working in the zoo system. We were able to spend a little time at the zoo and observe the animals, take lots of pictures of the cool animals, and it was great timing. We had beautiful weather that day and the ability to walk around, and it wasn't very busy, and so the students got to take their time and explore and ask a lot of questions of the people in their education program there at Potter Park Zoo.
Well, not only did I get to see otters and tigers, I kind of cried at the otters, it's fine, but also hearing the woman talk about how she got involved in becoming a zookeeper and seeing the animals that they worked with, and like, I don't know, like I've always kind of had this dream of working with tigers. Just, it sounds kind of dumb, but that's just like been my dream job, and like hearing her talk made it seem a lot more like an actual attainable career, and like, I don't know, it was kind of a reality check that I could actually do my dream job.
It was really interesting too, learning from the park coordinator lady about the different positions that were in the whole zoo business, and I did not think it was going to be, I didn't think there was going to be as many jobs or as many events either. I'm kind of interested in event planning, I realized throughout this trip, and I was surprised that they put on so many different things to get the people to come and so they could get money and whatnot.
Me being in environmental biology, it's a much broader field to where I could do a lot more than that, but I feel after talking with her that I could go into that if I really felt passionate about it. Like, if I do end up really, really wanting to work as a zookeeper, that is most definitely an option.
I don't think I realized how many facets went into the zoo, so I think that was beneficial for me to realize that I could have a place in the zoo even though I don't have a biology degree or a science degree. So I do think it opened up a little bit of an avenue, and I realized that maybe through summer jobs or internships I could at least get my foot in the door, so that was helpful.
It got me thinking about what I'm going to do after I leave Ferris, and working with the animals would be a really cool option.
From Potter Park Zoo, we went on to the State of Michigan Civil Service Commission offices, where representatives from several of the departments with the Michigan Civil Service Commission provided a panel discussion about different opportunities with the state of Michigan, from DNR to Michigan State Police to corrections to the human resources aspect of the state of Michigan. They talked with our students about how to apply for government jobs and the career services that they offer to help not just students, but help people apply for state jobs.
I felt that because I was an architect major and going on this trip, there wasn't going to be a lot of opportunities for me. For example, when we went to the different employers, they were really explaining a lot of different similar majors, for example, psychology, sociology, social work, PR, criminal justice. But once they got more into depth and I asked questions, there's actually a lot of opportunities for architect majors.
I feel like I gained a lot of knowledge as far as looking for jobs through the state of Michigan. Like beforehand, I just looked up how to apply for a summer ranger position with the DNR because I knew that that's what I was looking for. But now looking at other aspects of it, as far as like animal ecology, that was one of the things that was on the presentation that one of the women was talking about. And going and being able to find those resources is a lot more clear to me now than ever had been before. Like I didn't even know what to look for before, I guess.
I learned upon arriving there that there were various offices within each department, and they would offer a lot of different jobs, and I had a good amount of networking done there.
It was very helpful to hear that I won't be putting myself in a box getting a public relations degree, that I do have a lot of options, and having the opportunity to hear about some of those options has really brought a broader view of what I can do in the workforce.
And I think there are a lot of companies people don't realize they could work for. I know when I think of state of Michigan, I think of the state police, and there's just thousands and thousands of jobs that people can do there. I see a hospital and I think of healthcare and healthcare administration, and that's about it. You're a doctor or you're doing insurance, and there's so much more into it. And I mean, I know people realize that, but having a firsthand experience of it really helped put it into perspective.
So at the Capitol building, we were able to have a tour guide from the Capitol actually give us a tour. She was very energetic and excited about what she does. She obviously enjoys history, and she was very fun. She was very informational, talked to us about all of the different aspects of the Capitol building and where the different branches of legislature meet. We got to peek in on several of the floors that are used for the Senate and the House.
I think the Capitol building was probably one of the highlights of the trip because we got to see how a lot of the state government works. It was a lot of history, it was a lot of political knowledge that we gained, but also the architecture, I think, was the biggest thing for me, at least. And I think a lot of people who aren't even in the field of architecture were just amazed of the structure, of the beauty of the building, of the history, and how just the fact that, you know, one person created and designed this whole building.
Honestly, I thought that we were just going to be going and learning about different jobs with it. I didn't think that we would be getting like a full-on tour of the Capitol and like getting to know all of the different aspects behind like how the paintings were put in there and like what order they were in and all of that stuff. And so I wasn't expecting like it to be nearly as interesting as it was, I guess, but it was incredibly interesting and I really liked it.
I wanted to see big and beautiful, and that's what I got. I've seen the Capitol from pictures on the internet, from the outside. My friends have visited the Capitol and have told me great things about it, so having knowledge of the field, I definitely had my hopes high because, you know, I just wanted to see something big and something that'll impress me, and it definitely did, so I was very happy that I got to see it.
I thought the Capitol building would be a lot of old guys in suits walking around looking really important, but it was kind of empty. I don't think I had previously recognized that most of the different departments had been moved to other buildings around the city, so it really just seems more of like a landmark now.
The Capitol building was absolutely incredible from like just the architectural point of view and the art that was on the walls and the ceilings. Like, it was absolutely incredible, and all the history behind it. Like, I've never really been a history buff, but I can appreciate it, and our tour guide was absolutely amazing. Like, she knew her stuff, and just going and being able to see where like our representatives work and stuff, that was really cool.
Everyone has seen the publicity regarding the Flint water crisis, and so we wanted to schedule in a stop in Flint, performing some type of community service while learning about occupations in nonprofit organizations, the type of people that work in nonprofit organizations. And so we stayed at Carriagetown Ministries in one of their houses that they provide longer term care for some of their clients.
It was like a wow factor because you don't ever think about living in a condition where you have no home over your head. I felt very blessed. I felt very honored that I have the opportunity to have a house over my head, to have a meal every day. So it was an amazing experience and a great way to see another community and see how other people in different areas of Michigan struggle and how there are opportunities out there that do help those who are in need.
I think their halfway house was beautiful. It was really accommodating and very clean and well kept, and I think that's just really great, especially for people that are a little like down on their luck or they're homeless and recovering. It's always nice to feel human again.
And then we worked in their distribution center. They have a free distribution center for clothing for the people that come through and seek their services. And so everybody participated in sorting donated items and stocking shelves and helping with arranging the displays for a short period of time.
I knew that we were going to be volunteering at the distribution center. I just kind of assumed that we would be like working one-on-one with anybody who would come by there to like provide services. I didn't quite realize that we would just be like working in the store aspect of it that was closed for the day. But I mean, it was still pretty humbling to work in that area, and I didn't realize that we would be getting like a full-on tour and learning so much about what all they did. I didn't realize that they had so many different areas to it, and I feel like I got a lot more out of it than I expected. I got a lot more inspired from it.
I think I gained some valuable volunteer experience with Carriagetown Ministries. I do not volunteer often or nearly enough, so it was nice for them to direct me with what they needed the most help in, and it was nice to feel like I actually benefited them.
We went on to Breckenridge, Michigan, which is a very rural area, and toward the wind farms. DTE Energy graciously gave us a presentation based on what a wind farm is and the different occupations that they employ, what they do in their jobs, how they use safety apparatuses to work on inside the wind mills.
I learned there are many challenges that the company has to overcome to initially set up the farm, and then also how to continue to maintain the farm. I was surprised on how many different kinds of people work and maintain the turbines.
I learned that it doesn't take as many windmills as I thought it would to produce a lot of electricity for an entire city.
I thought the wind farm was actually a really cool experience because it's you don't really think about the kind of ways certain places in Michigan find their way to get their source of energy.
It was really cool seeing a company work so hard to be very sustainable and help out the earth, and it was just really cool seeing the backstory behind that.
After their presentation, we were able to follow them out to actually go inside one of the windmills and to look up and see the height of it and see the panoramic view of the windmills around us.
I really enjoyed the wind farm when we got to go to the actual turbine. We had a short presentation that was a lot of fun, and then being able to actually look up the ladder and see all the way up to the top was great.
I think more people should go and explore a wind farm just so they know more about it, because a lot of people think that they're noisy and they're ugly and they take away from property value, but you get a different feel for it when you actually go and experience it.
Our last stop of the trip was at the Chippewa Nature Center in Midland, Michigan. And the Chippewa Nature Center provides educational programming on wildlife and the environment. So we had a wonderful presentation by a woman working there in regards to what they do there at the Nature Preserve to provide education, day programming, day camps, nature retreats, and so forth. And then from there we went out to their on the property, and were able to walk around through the woods collecting maple syrup sap.
I think I do have a bigger interest in jobs related to the Nature Preserve because I got to see that they do a lot with like not just trail cleanup, but they have programs with education and they have workshops. And I just think it'd be nice to have the opportunity to teach people in a hands-on environment.
I don't know, I've been thinking about it more since that visit, definitely, because like I had talked with one of the guys there about even just interviews for summer jobs, and like I got his information too, so like it's definitely made me think more about like what I could do there. I learned how integrated they are with the community and how like that's pretty much their main aspect is education and getting the community to learn more about nature.
It's really interesting because it's something that I've never really knew existed. So for example, I didn't know that it was just a place to learn about nature and to preserve it. So like when we walked in, I didn't know that there was a preschool dedicated to only teaching students about nature. And from where I come from, we don't have that, so I thought that was really cool.
I really enjoyed the Chippewa Nature Preserve. It's always great to learn about the natural environment. I grew up basically in the woods, so it was really fun to have that last stop be somewhat close to home for me.
My favorite part about it was meeting the lady that introduced us to the Chippewa Nature Preserve. She was the head volunteer coordinator, and I learned so much that I did not know about volunteering, like that you really have to keep in touch with the volunteers, make them feel appreciated, have a snack zone for volunteers so that they'll come back again and they feel like you actually care about them and that they're helping.
Tree sap is sticky and it's heavy, so I thought that was gonna be hard, but I think we all kind of turned it into a competition by the end, and it was just fun to be outside with everybody. I didn't realize how much sap needed to be collected to make maple syrup. I think it was 40 gallons to 1 gallon of maple syrup, which is just insane to me, and I liked how passionate the guys were that were making it because they don't even sell it, and maple syrup is so expensive. So they're just into it because they like it, so.
I never imagined how much work went into it, and it was actually one of the more fun volunteering experiences I've ever had.
Overall, I think the Nature Preserve was a really great stop on our trip. I think it was a good opportunity for us to be outside, and we learned about conservation and educational programs, and we got a chance to do something.